Wednesday was beautiful across most of Newfoundland and Labrador. Tomorrow will look similar. Friday, Halloween, not so much. We'll talk about the tricky rather than treaty forecast after this. Atlantic Edge Credit Union is proud to support the communities and businesses of Newfoundland and Labrador. Buy local, bank local, grow local with Atlantic Edge Credit Union. Visit aecu.ca or stop by one of their 16 branches across the province. We'll start tonight again by taking a look at Hurricane Melissa, now down to a Category 2 storm with winds gusting 195, sustained 160, pressure up to 974 millibars. 24 hours ago, it was a monstrous Category 5, wreaking havoc on Jamaica. It did that last night. Some of the images I've seen are disturbing at worst, and my thoughts and prayers are with the folks there affected by it, the folks in Cuba, and now the folks in the Bahamas that are dealing with this as well. Although in the Bahamas it's a lot less impactful as it's moving faster and the wind speeds aren't nearly as high as they were in Jamaica. Now, yesterday I was talking about the forecast for Melissa, and it looked like it was going to remain east of the Avalon Peninsula and the bulk of the impacts were going to be offshore. And I said, there is a chance it comes onshore. I'm not biting on that just yet. Well, today I'm kind of nibbling on it a bit. It does look like we are going to see some impacts from Melissa. The question is, what are those going to be? And ultimately, it'll be determined by where in the cone of uncertainty the storm tracks. Now, remember, as it gets up this way, it's not going to be a hurricane anymore. It'll be post or extratropical cyclone, which means the strongest wind speeds are on the eastern side of the low and the rain is on the west and north side of the low. But depending on where that low tracks, will determine what impacts we see in eastern areas of Newfoundland. And as we take a look at this chart here, this is showing us essentially several different variations of a computer model and where it wants to place the center of the storm. And notice we have a line here that's very, very close to the middle of the Avalon Peninsula. So if this is the case, the bulk of the winds would remain offshore, or the highest winds would remain offshore. But if we get anything tracking kind of on the inside, or the left-hand side of the little circle I have there, we're going to start to bring some of those winds onshore. And while Melissa will not be a hurricane at that point, it will have a wind core with wind gusts in excess of 120 or 130 kilometers per hour. Now, they'll be short-lived. The rain going to be short-lived, but it's certainly a possibility. And on top of that, we're going to see some heavy rain for a few hours as well. Now, with the wind speed, you may hear that and say, that's not a big deal. We get wind like that all the time. It's Newfoundland. Yes, we do. In the winter when the ground is frozen and there's no leaves in the trees. Ground not frozen, leaves on trees, winds like that are a problem. Remember Larry. So I'll be watching this closely. I'm hoping that we get the rain because we need it and the winds stay offshore, but ultimately that forecast will become a little clearer over the next couple of days. Now, this will impact the trick-or-treaters because as Melissa gets closer, we're going to see a second system coming in from the west. Both of those are going to bring precip. The question is, when does it arrive? And right now for eastern, central, western Newfoundland, looks like 7, 8 o'clock in the evening, but sometimes the timeline of the arrival of the rain speeds up, and if that happens by a couple hours, well, the forecast for trick-or-treating is going to be a lot less treaty, I guess, then it's going to be a little more tricky than it is treaty, I suppose. So something I'll keep in mind, but certainly keep in mind could be a soggy Halloween. So maybe if it is, maybe some communities could move their trick-or-treating to Saturday because it'll be nicer, although in some areas it'll be a lot more white, like in Labrador. So for tonight, pretty quiet across Newfoundland, little tease there. For the day tomorrow, quiet across Newfoundland, Labrador. Not really a whole lot on the go. Some areas of frost overnight certainly possible like we had this morning. And then we look to Friday. The day starts dry, but again, with that rain going to be moving in during the second half of the day for southern and parts, if not most of Newfoundland, and Labrador West will also see rain moving in during the second half of Friday. And Futurecast, Future Radar shows this really, really nicely. Here we are Friday morning. At that point, there's not really a whole lot on the go yet. It looks like once we get into midday Friday, we've got rain breaking out in Labrador West, almost as far east as Goose Bay. And by 6 p.m. Friday, we've got rain across the Maritime provinces. But at that point, this computer model seems to suggest that the rain is going to be still to the south of Newfoundland and Labrador, or excuse me, still to the south of Newfoundland with respect to Melissa, which is right here. arriving on the west coast by 6 o'clock and spreading into most of Labrador. If this is right, trick-or-treating looks okay, but we are going to see the heavy rain coming in around midnight Friday night. And if this is also the case, if this computer model is right, the highest winds are going to graze the eastern side of the Avalon but remain offshore. But remember, if the forecast for this goes any further west, the high wind speeds that are going to be sitting right down in here are going to get moved west with it, which puts them kind of over the Avalon Peninsula and eastern areas of Newfoundland. So something to watch. Either way, it's a quick mover. So whether we get the wind or not, we are going to get the rain. It's done with from Melissa by 7, 8 a.m. Saturday. At that point, the other low is taking hold. We're seeing snow in much of Labrador through our day Saturday, and it could be significant in some areas. With respect to rainfall, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a rainfall warning or a special weather statement for Environment and Climate Change Canada, as I'm recording this before those come out, but it's certainly a possibility. Looks like 30 to 50 millimeters of rain on the way, which is not a bad thing. We could use some rain for the eastern side of Newfoundland. As we go further west, we also could be talking about kind of widespread, much needed, significant rainfall between Friday and Saturday morning and a little bit more thereafter. Look at Badger, 25 mils in the forecast. Let's see. 40 mils in the forecast. Daniels Harbor, close to 50 in the forecast. We'll see if that ends up being right. Parts of Labrador are also going to see some rain. They're also going to see some snow. And this begins, it looks like Friday night, ends later Saturday. Looks like Churchill Falls, Lab City, Wallbush, Goose Bay, a couple centimeters certainly in the forecast. Higher terrain, 15, 20 plus centimeters in the forecast. And so we are certainly getting into the time of year where Labrador and maybe even the long-range mountains we'll start seeing the snow. On top of that, it's going to be much cooler on Sunday compared to Saturday, especially central and west, but the showers will linger as well through a good bit of the weekend, so something to kind of keep in mind, although Saturday looks a lot more rainy than Sunday, at least at this point. And into Labrador, there's your snowy Saturday, and Sunday for some could be the first day below freezing for a high this season, I believe. If you haven't got my app yet, be sure to get it in the Apple App Store, Google Play Store. I post updates in there very often, and soon I'm hoping to have video right in the app, so you don't have to go far to find it. Have a very good Wednesday evening. My next update will be tomorrow morning. See you then.